Japan doesn't just have better home habits, it has habits so effective that the homes stay cleaner, the mornings run easier, and the evenings feel like they actually belong to you. A hot drink every morning that sets a calmer, more focused tone for everything that follows. A kitchen that gets wiped down completely after every single meal without exception. And an entryway system so deliberately maintained that the dirt, the chaos, and the stress of the outside world never makes it past the front door. These aren't complicated routines. They're small daily decisions that compound into a home that functions better, feels better, and requires far less effort to maintain. Today, we're counting down 21 Japanese home habits that instantly fix daily life. Watch until the end because number 21 reveals the single daily habit Japan has practiced for centuries that quietly delivers more measurable health benefits than almost anything else on this list. Number 1. Starting every morning with a hot drink. Most mornings in Western households begin the same way. An alarm goes off, a phone gets checked, and within minutes the day is already dictating its own pace before the person living it has had a single moment to themselves. Japan approaches the morning differently. Before any task is started, any screen is checked, or any responsibility is addressed, the morning begins with a hot drink taken quietly and without distraction. Green tea, coffee, or hot water with nothing added. The drink itself is almost secondary. What matters is the deliberate pause it creates before the day begins, a few minutes of stillness that set the tone for everything that follows. It's a habit practiced across generations in Japanese households, and one that research into morning cortisol levels consistently supports as genuinely beneficial for focus and stress regulation throughout the day. The difference between a morning that starts with stillness and one that starts with noise is felt immediately and accumulated daily. It's the simplest habit on this list and arguably the most powerful one to start with. Number 2, eating seasonal foods. Most Western households eat the same foods year-round without much thought given to whether those foods actually belong to the current season. Strawberries in December, butternut squash in June, and produce that has traveled thousands of kilometers to appear fresh on a supermarket shelf regardless of time of year. Japan organizes eating around the concept of shun, the peak season of any ingredient where its flavor, nutritional content, and freshness are at their absolute highest. Japanese home cooks plan meals around what is currently at its best rather than what is simply available, rotating ingredients with the seasons so that every month brings a different set of flavors to the table. Spring brings bamboo shoots and mountain vegetables. Summer brings edamame and bitter melon. Autumn brings matsutake mushrooms and sweet potato. Winter brings daikon and hot pot ingredients. Eating this way means produce is always at peak flavor and nutritional value. Grocery bills are lower because seasonal produce is cheaper, and meals have a natural variety built in that prevents the monotony of cooking the same things repeatedly. Seasonal eating isn't a trend in Japan, it's simply how food has always worked. Number 3, preparing breakfast the night before. Morning is the most time-pressured part of most people's day. Decisions pile up before the day has properly started, and food preparation is often the task that creates the most friction when time is already short and focus is still low. Japan has a deeply practical solution to this. The night before, while the kitchen is already being used for dinner and the mind is still alert, breakfast is prepared and refrigerated so that the morning requires no food decisions or preparation whatsoever. Tamagoyaki portions are rolled and stored. Rice is cooked and portioned. Miso soup ingredients are prepped and ready to heat in minutes. Overnight oats, yogurt with fruit, and cold brewed tea are assembled and waiting. The morning routine then becomes purely a matter of retrieving what's already done, rather than creating something from scratch under time pressure. The result is a calmer morning, a better breakfast, and the complete elimination of the most common reason people skip the first meal of the day entirely. It's preparation done once that pays back every single morning. If you're enjoying this so far, go ahead and tap like. It tells YouTube you want more of Japan's clever, everyday innovations. And if you love discovering things you didn't even know existed, hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this list. Trust me, the next ones are even smarter. Number 4, keeping a dedicated cleaning cloth in every room. Cleaning in most households happens reactively. Something gets spilled, something gets dusty, or the room reaches a visible threshold of disorder before anything is done about it. By that point, the cleaning task is larger, takes longer, and requires more effort than it ever needed to. Japan maintains a different standard through a simple habit. A dedicated cleaning cloth lives in every room of the home, folded and ready to use the moment a surface needs attention. A quick wipe of the bathroom basin after use takes 10 seconds. A dust pass over the television unit takes 20. A spillage on the kitchen counter is dealt with immediately rather than drying into something that requires scrubbing. Because the cloth is already in the room, there is no barrier between noticing something that needs attention and doing something about it immediately. The habit removes the gap between seeing the problem and solving it, and that gap is exactly where cleaning tasks accumulate into something that feels overwhelming. A cloth in every room. It costs nothing and changes everything about how clean the home stays. Number 5, taking a bath before bed. Most Western households treat bathing as a morning routine, a way to wake up and prepare for the day ahead. The evening is for winding down, and a shower or bath isn't typically part of that process, unless it happens to fit into the schedule. In Japan, the evening bath is a non-negotiable daily ritual with a purpose that goes far beyond hygiene. Soaking in hot water for 15 to 20 minutes in the evening causes the body's core temperature to rise and then drop rapidly upon leaving the water, a physiological response that signals the brain to begin producing melatonin and prepare for sleep. Research published in sleep science journals consistently confirms that a hot bath taken 1 to 2 hours before bed reduces the time it takes to fall asleep and improves overall sleep quality measurably. Japanese households maintain bathwater at a consistent temperature throughout the evening, so every family member can use the same water in sequence. It's not just a hygiene habit, it's a scientifically supported sleep preparation system that Japan has been using for centuries. The West has sleep aids, supplements, and screen time limits. Japan has a hot bath at 9 o'clock. Number 6. Wiping down the hob after every meal. Cooking leaves residue, oil settles on surfaces, splatter lands on the hob, and small spills happen around burners without always being noticed in the moment. In most Western kitchens, this builds up between cleaning sessions until the hob requires significant effort to restore. In Japanese households, the hob gets wiped down immediately after every single meal without exception. While the food is plated and the kitchen is still being reset, a damp cloth passes over every burner surface, catching residue while it's still fresh and requiring almost no effort to remove. The entire process takes under a minute. Because it happens after every use rather than once a week, nothing ever has the opportunity to bake on, carbonize, or become a cleaning task that requires products and scrubbing. The hob stays at a consistent baseline of clean that never deteriorates. The logic is straightforward. Cleaning something that is slightly dirty takes seconds. Cleaning something that has been allowed to accumulate takes considerably longer and produces considerably more frustration. A wipe after every meal. 1 minute of effort that permanently eliminates one of the most stubborn cleaning jobs in the kitchen. Number 7. Laying out tomorrow's clothes tonight. The morning is a poor time to make decisions. Sleep inertia, time pressure, and the general friction of starting the day mean that even simple choices like what to wear require more cognitive effort than they should, and that effort accumulates on top of everything else the morning already demands. Japan treats the evening as the preparation window for the following day. Clothes for the next morning are selected, laid out, and ready the night before, so the morning routine runs without a single clothing decision needing to be made. Children's school clothes, work outfits, and exercise gear are all prepared in advance, so the morning moves directly from waking to dressing without pause. The habit eliminates the common scenario of standing in front of a wardrobe, underdressed and underprepared while time disappears. It also surfaces practical problems in advance. A missing button, an item that needs ironing, a combination that doesn't work, all of which are far easier to address the night before than at 7 in the morning. It's a 2-minute evening habit that removes several minutes of morning friction and starts the day with one less decision already made. Number 8. Emptying every bin before it overflows. An overflowing bin doesn't just look bad. It creates odors, attracts insects, makes the waste harder to remove cleanly, and signals a general tolerance for disorder that tends to lower the maintenance standard of the surrounding space alongside it. Japanese households operate on a simple principle regarding bins. They're emptied before they're full, not after they overflow. Because Japan's waste disposal system requires strict sorting into specific categories on specific collection days, the habit of regularly checking and emptying bins before they reach capacity is built into the routine of the week. This means bins are never overflowing, waste bags are never overfilled to the point of tearing, and the areas around bins stay clean because nothing is ever spilling over the sides. The emptying happens on a schedule tied to collection days rather than in response to a bin that has already become a problem. Reactive bin management is one of the most quietly unpleasant parts of maintaining a home. Japan replaced it with a proactive habit, so ingrained it requires no conscious decision at all. The bin gets emptied before it needs to. Number 9. Removing shoes at the entrance. The floor is one of the most contaminated surfaces in any home. Studies measuring floor contamination in households where outdoor shoes are worn inside consistently find bacteria, pesticides, and environmental pollutants tracked in from pavements, public transport, and outdoor surfaces distributed across every floor the shoes contact. Japan solved this at the entrance. Shoes come off at the genkan, the dedicated entryway step that physically separates the outdoor level from the indoor living space, and are replaced with indoor slippers before a single step is taken into the home. The separation is absolute and cultural. No exceptions are made, no reminders are needed, and no negotiation happens at the door. The result is that everything tracked in from outside stays at the entrance and goes no further. Floors stay visibly cleaner for longer, cleaning frequency drops significantly, and the indoor environment contains measurably fewer outdoor contaminants than a home where shoes are worn throughout. The Genkan makes the habit automatic because the physical space enforces it, there is a clear boundary, and the boundary is respected without thought. It's one of the most impactful daily habits on this list, and it costs nothing to start. Number 10. Opening every window each morning. Most people don't think about the air inside their home, but overnight, carbon dioxide levels rise from breathing, moisture accumulates from sleep, and the air in every room becomes stale in ways that affect alertness and mood without anyone connecting the cause to how they feel. Japan has a simple daily habit that addresses this completely. Every window in the home is opened for a minimum of 10 minutes, first thing every morning regardless of season, flushing the stale overnight air out of every room and replacing it with fresh air before the day begins. The habit is so standard in Japanese households that it requires no conscious decision. It's simply what happens when you get up. In the same way, making the bed or brushing teeth requires no deliberation. Research into indoor air quality consistently confirms that regular ventilation reduces indoor pollutant levels, lowers humidity that contributes to mold growth, and improves cognitive function in the hours that follow. 10 minutes of open windows every morning costs nothing, takes no effort, and meaningfully improves the air quality of every room in the home for the rest of the day. It's one of the easiest habits on this list to start, and one of the most immediately noticeable in how it makes the home feel. Number 11. Decluttering one area per week. Clutter accumulates gradually and invisibly. A surface that is clear on Monday has a few items on it by Wednesday and is fully covered by the following week, without any single moment where the accumulation felt significant enough to address. By the time it's noticeable, it already feels like a project. Japan prevents this through a weekly habit of selecting one specific area of the home and decluttering it completely. Not the whole house, not a full day of reorganizing. Just one drawer, one shelf, one corner, or one cabinet addressed thoroughly once a week. Items that no longer serve a purpose leave the home. Items that belong elsewhere get returned to their correct place. The area resets to its intended state, and the week begins with one part of the home functioning exactly as it should. Over the course of a month, every area of the home has been through the process at least once, and the accumulation that leads to overwhelming clutter never gets the opportunity to build. The difference between this and a traditional deep clean is that it never becomes one. Weekly decluttering means the home never reaches a state that requires a full weekend to fix. One area, once a week. The home never gets ahead of the person living in it. Number 12. Drying laundry inside out. Most people dry laundry exactly the way it comes out of the wash without giving much thought to whether that's actually the best approach. The result is colors that fade faster than they should, fabric surfaces that pill from UV exposure, and printed designs that crack and peel long before the garment itself wears out. Japan dries laundry inside out as standard practice. Turning garments before hanging them means the interior surface faces outward during drying, shielding the exterior color and finish from direct UV exposure throughout the entire drying period. The garment dries completely because air circulates through the fabric regardless of orientation, but the side that faces outward when worn is protected every single time. The habit is particularly effective for dark clothing, printed t-shirts, and any item with a surface texture or finish that degrades under prolonged sun exposure. It adds approximately 10 seconds per garment to the hanging process and meaningfully extends the lifespan of every item it's applied to. Clothes that hold their color longer need replacing less frequently, and less frequent replacing means less money spent on clothing across a year. Japan understands that how laundry is dried matters just as much as how it's washed. Number 13. Keeping the entrance completely clear. The entrance of most Western homes accumulates everything. Shoes pile up beside the door, bags get dropped on arrival, coats land on the nearest surface, and within days, the entryway has become one of the most cluttered spaces in the entire home, despite being the first thing anyone sees when they walk in. Japan treats the entrance as a transitional space that must stay clear at all times. Shoes are stored in the shoe cabinet the moment they come off, rather than left on the floor. Bags, coats, and outdoor items have designated storage positions that are used consistently rather than surfaces they get dropped onto temporarily and forgotten. The Genkan floor is kept clean enough that guests could walk across it in socks without a second thought. Maintaining this standard requires almost no effort once the habit is established, because nothing is ever left in the entrance long enough to create a problem in the first place. A clear entrance sets the tone for the entire home. It signals that everything beyond it is maintained to the same standard. In Japanese households, it consistently is. Number 14. Wiping down the bathroom basin after every use. The bathroom basin is used multiple times every day by every person in the household. Toothpaste lands on the surface, water splashes onto the counter and the mirror, and soap residue builds up around the tap. Left unaddressed, a basin that was cleaned in the morning looks visibly neglected by evening. Japan maintains the basin through a habit so simple it barely registers as cleaning. A cloth kept beside the basin gives the surface a 10-second wipe after every use, removing water, toothpaste, and soap residue before any of it has the chance to dry and set. The mirror gets a quick pass if there's been any splashing. The tap gets wiped dry to prevent watermarks from forming. The whole process takes less time than washing hands and happens as a natural extension of whatever just took place at the basin. Because it happens after every use, the surface never deteriorates from clean to visibly neglected and never requires the kind of scrubbing that weekly cleaning demands. 10 seconds after every use means the basin never becomes a cleaning task. That single shift in timing is the entire difference between a bathroom that always looks clean and one that doesn't. Number 15. Storing everything vertically. Most storage in Western homes operates on a stacking principle. Items pile on top of each other until the stack becomes unstable or the item at the bottom becomes completely inaccessible. Clothes, containers, documents, and food all follow the same logic, and the thing needed is almost always the one buried deepest. Japan stores things vertically wherever possible. Clothes are folded and filed upright in drawers so every item is visible simultaneously without pulling anything out. Food containers are stored standing on their sides in a rack. Documents stand upright in holders rather than lying flat in piles. Baking trays, chopping boards, and oven dishes go into vertical dividers rather than horizontal stacks. In every case, the principle is identical. Everything remains individually accessible without disturbing anything around it, everything is visible at a glance, and nothing gets buried or forgotten because it was placed underneath something else. Vertical storage doesn't require more space. It requires a different way of thinking about the space that already exists. Once the switch is made, horizontal stacking starts to look exactly like the unnecessary problem it always was. Number 16. Keeping a house notebook. Most home management in Western households exists either in someone's head or spread across various apps, notes, and verbal reminders that are inconsistently maintained and frequently forgotten. Maintenance tasks get missed, replacements get purchased late, and the mental load of tracking everything the home needs falls on whoever happens to be paying attention. Japan addresses this with a dedicated house notebook kept in a fixed location in the home. Filter replacement dates, appliance warranty information, paint colors used in each room, the last time the washing machine drum was cleaned, upcoming maintenance tasks, and the contact details of every tradesperson who has worked on the home all live in one place that anyone in the household can access and update. Nothing relies on memory, nothing gets lost in a phone that might change, and the running knowledge of what the home needs is visible, shared, and consistently acted upon by everyone living there. It removes the mental load of home management from any one person's head and puts it somewhere the entire household can see. A notebook in a kitchen drawer, more effective than any app ever built for the same purpose. Number 17. Turning off every light when leaving a room. Leaving lights on in empty rooms is a habit most Western households are aware they have and consistently fail to address. It costs money in a way that's invisible on any single occasion, but measurable across a year, and it reflects a relationship with energy use that Japan simply doesn't share. In Japanese households, turning off every light when leaving a room operates below conscious thought. It's the same automatic action as closing a door or putting something down before walking away. Japan's relationship with energy conservation is culturally embedded, shaped by high electricity costs, decades of conservation messaging, and a collective awareness of resource scarcity that makes waste feel genuinely uncomfortable rather than merely inconvenient. The habit extends beyond lights to appliances, screens, and heating systems, all of which are switched off or adjusted when a room empties rather than left running for the convenience of returning to something already on. The financial saving across a year is real and documented, but the shift in mindset that produces it is worth considerably more than the saving itself. Number 18. Replacing items immediately when running low. Running out of something at home is almost always avoidable. Toilet paper, washing up liquid, bin bags, toothpaste, and kitchen staples don't disappear without warning. They reduce visibly over days before they're gone, and yet most households wait until the item is completely exhausted before replacing it, turning a non-problem into an inconvenient one. Japan operates on a simple restocking habit. The moment an item drops to its last unit, a replacement is sourced before the current one is finished. A new toilet roll goes under the sink when the last spare is put on the holder. A replacement bottle of washing up liquid is bought before the current one empties. The pantry is monitored on a rolling basis, so that running out of a staple ingredient mid-cook simply doesn't happen. The habit requires almost no additional effort because it's a matter of noticing the low point and acting on it while there's still time, rather than after the problem has already arrived and inconvenienced everyone in the household. The home that never runs out of anything isn't better stocked than anyone else's. It's just better managed. Number 19. Cleaning the toilet daily. The toilet is the most used fixture in any home and typically the one cleaned least frequently. In most Western households, it gets cleaned once a week at best, which means it spends the majority of its time in a state that nobody is entirely comfortable with, but everyone has quietly accepted as normal. Japan cleans the toilet every single day without exception. A dedicated brush and a daily cleaning spray live beside every toilet in the home, and a quick scrub of the bowl takes under a minute as part of the morning or evening routine. Because it happens daily, nothing builds up. The bowl never reaches a state that requires significant effort or strong chemicals to restore. The surrounding surfaces, the seat, the lid, and the floor around the base get a wipe on the same pass. The entire process takes 2 minutes and maintains a standard of cleanliness that a weekly clean can never match, regardless of how thorough that weekly clean actually is. Daily cleaning of a clean toilet is easy. Weekly cleaning of a toilet that hasn't been touched in 7 days is not. Japan simply chose the easier option and made it a daily habit. Number 20. Putting everything back in its exact place. Disorder in a home rarely arrives all at once. It accumulates through small, repeated decisions to put something down temporarily rather than returning it to where it belongs. The remote lands on the sofa instead of the shelf. The scissors go on the counter instead of the drawer. The keys drop onto the nearest surface rather than the hook by the door. None of it feels significant in the moment, and all of it compounds into a home that feels perpetually untidy regardless of how often it's cleaned. Japan treats returning every item to its exact designated place as the natural completion of using it. Using something and returning it is treated as a single action, not two separate ones. Every item in a Japanese home has a specific place it belongs, and it goes back there immediately after every use without exception. This is taught to children from a very early age and carries through into adult life as a standard that requires no conscious effort to maintain because it was never experienced any other way. A home where everything is always in its place isn't cleaned more often than anyone else's. It simply never gives disorder the opportunity to begin. Number 21. Drinking green tea daily. Green tea in Japan isn't a wellness trend or a deliberate health decision made by people paying close attention to what they consume. It's simply what gets drunk throughout the day, at home, at work, and with meals, in the same unremarkable way that water gets drunk everywhere else. What makes this habit worth examining is what green tea actually delivers at the volume Japan consumes it. Matcha and sencha, the two most commonly consumed varieties in Japanese homes, are among the most studied beverages in nutritional science. Both are exceptionally high in catechins, a class of antioxidants linked in peer-reviewed research to reduced inflammation, improved cardiovascular function, better blood sugar regulation, and enhanced cognitive focus. The L-theanine present in green tea produces a calm, alert mental state without the anxiety spike associated with coffee. Japan has one of the highest life expectancies in the world and one of the lowest rates of cardiovascular disease, and while no single habit explains that entirely, the daily consumption of green tea at the scale Japan practices is consistently identified as a meaningful contributing factor in the research. It's not a supplement. It's not a routine that requires any effort or intention. It's just tea. And Japan has been drinking it every single day for over 1,000 years. If you want to see more amazing things Japan is doing better than the rest of the world, then like and subscribe. And make sure to watch the video on your end screen. It's packed with even more life-improving things.